This is a very serious investment channel. We are discussing, should we buy long-term government bonds? Should we buy gold? Should we buy Coca-Cola stock? Or what about Fartcoin? Now this channel is so serious that I've already published 3 videos on Fartcoin and I want to share the YouTube analytics. So here are those videos and have a look how that first video performed to the average video on this channel. It actually did not do that well. It underperformed the average video. So the average video is here in the background in gray and that first video is in blue. And that video was published when the price was at 5 cents. Since then we are up more than 500%. Of course, since this is a very serious investment, we sometimes get a little bit of volatility. This was a 60% crash. But then 2 more videos followed. Here is the one published 36 days ago and here's the one published 18 days ago. It seems like over time there's less and less interest in Fartcoin. The very first video already didn't perform that well and it seems like subsequently there's less and less people interested, yet the price went up. What's going on? Now Fartcoin was launched through the Pump.fun ecosystem and here are comparable tokens also all launched on Solana on the Pump.fun platform. And Fartcoin now has a market cap of 300 million. If it was to 2x from here, it would become the 3rd largest Pump.fun ecosystem token above ACT. And if it was to 3x from here, it would become the 2nd largest. Now, what do those 3 tokens here have in common? Peanut, Goat, and ACT. They all have in common that they've got a lot of centralized exchange ownership. So those tokens are traded on Binance and the like. Fartcoin, however, is still mainly traded on-chain. Most trading volume happens directly on Radium. So this tells us a first idea of what the potential upside here is, right? If currently the centralized exchanges are secretly accumulating the token, then there might be another 2 to 3x from here. If that's not the case, then the price might of course go down. Because Fartcoin is already too large to just be driven now by small retail investors. We need now the serious capital to get into the not so serious token. Now here are some statistics, some on-chain metrics of Fartcoin in the last month. On the left side we see the number of first-time traders versus recurring traders per day. And most days we've seen more recurring traders than first-time traders and it seems like the current trend is not necessarily that positive. On the right we see the number of token transactions per day. Also initially a lot of activity, now rather less. Over here we've got the trading volume on chain. On the left side it's simply in US dollars. On the right side it's normalized to 100% per day. And we segregate here between different wallet sizes. So it's interesting how the trading volume goes in waves. And of course it makes sense to buy whenever there's very little attention when trading volume is low. For example, here on the 2nd of November, trading volume was historically low. And the 2nd of November had been a very nice time to buy. Then when trading volume peaks here on the 20th of November, that's then also when the price tends to peak. So we saw a peak on the 19th, we saw a peak on the 21st. But here's what's so interesting about that recent rally. It seems like over time, the fraction of trading volume that's done by the very large wallets, by the wallets that have at least $10,000 worth of the token, it tends to grow over time. So maybe there's accumulation by those larger wallets. Let's have a look at this in more detail. Now, what is very interesting is that the number of retail investors is growing over time. The number of whale investors though isn't. So the way we make this distinction is by minimum holding thresholds. And on the left side, we see the number of wallets that have at least 3,000 Fartcoins. So at the current price, that's roughly $900 worth of the token. For the chart in the middle, we go at 10x in minimum holding. So that's now $9,000 worth of the token. And on the right side, another 10x, $90,000 worth of the token. The number of whales doesn't really change. The number of retail investors though does. But here's what's so interesting. It seems like relatively speaking, the ownership by small retail, large retail, and medium-sized retail tends to rather go down. The whales, which are simply just in white here, they tend to own more and more of the token. So the number of whales is not increasing, but the relative ownership of the token of those whales is. And so this is probably what's going on. Some smart investor sees that the number of retail investors is growing and is thus accumulating the token. Now, is this a centralized exchange? Is this another market maker? Is this a private investor? I don't know, but it seems like we don't just see adoption by small retail, we also see this supported by the whales. The whales now have 77% of token supply. So those are the kinds of wallets that have more than $100,000 worth of the token. Now things are hyper bullish right now, right? Bitcoin continues to make one high buy after the next. And pretty much every altcoin is appreciating right now. It almost feels like because there's so much correlation within crypto that it doesn't really matter what we buy. What we see over here is the others dominance. So how much of all of crypto is in the altcoins that's not in the top 10 in terms of market cap. And that's growing very nicely, very steadily in the last days. And I see this in the statistics of this crypto channel as well. Nobody was interested in crypto just a few weeks ago, and suddenly we're spiking up in terms of attention again. And so yes, it's true that everything tends to go up, but there are still ways to outperform. So for example, over here, this is the Memecoin market, and in the last 7 days, AI16Z more than doubled. Yes, Bitcoin went up as well, but it definitely did not double. Now it's at a price of 43 cents. But the question is, how can we get into a token like AI16Z before it doubles? How can we find out about tokens like this early? And what I personally like to do is I like to follow other influencers. I like to follow insiders. I like to follow people that tend to move the markets, especially for those very small tokens. So have a look at this. Kyle Chessy bought AI16Z on the Jupiter exchange on Solana for 1.8 cents. And he didn't just buy once, he bought several times. Since then, the price went up by more than 2,000%. Now, who is Kyle Chessy? He's an influencer that tends to buy tokens very early, where of course not every single token makes these kinds of returns, but it's a bit like VC investing, right? You make 10 bets, you hope for 2 of those bets to make returns like this, and you're okay when the other 8 out of those 10 bets don't work out as well. So here we go, here is his channel. He's got 138,000 subscribers, and we track 12 of his wallets. So this is how wallet tracking works, right? You use on-chain analytics to find out who owns what wallet. And once you've got the wallet, you put this in a tracker. And then whenever this wallet makes a transaction, whenever this wallet buys or sells, we get an automatic notification. We are not just tracking Kyle Chessy, we also track Crypto Banter, for example. They've got 1.1 million subscribers. When they talk about a token, especially a small cap token, that token definitely goes up because there's a lot of attention on the token, right? Attention equals purchases, purchases equal a higher price. We've got 33 of Crypto Banter's wallets. And we're also tracking, for example, Alex Becker. He's got 1.5 million subscribers. We've got 12 of his wallets. And so really, I believe this is the way to beat the crypto market. It's to know more than most. It's not just to pick random tokens in a list, hope that they will make a 2-3x in this bull run. It's actually to be early. It's so early that most people don't know about this yet. I believe in this strategy so much that I made 8 dedicated tutorial videos just on wallet tracking. So how can we find influencer wallets? How can we track them? And how can we then also interpret the signals that we get from the tracking? It's all part of the premium membership of this channel. The link is down below, thebitcoinstrategy.com. Premium is not just about wallet tracking. It's also about backtesting. It's also about macro indicators. It's also about risk mitigation, portfolio diversification, etc. There's more than 100 tutorial videos in total in premium. And so yeah, people are very happy. Feel free to stop this video over here and read this feedback. The most important thing is, of course, once we have those kind of signals, that we also get some feedback from the rest of the community, right? That we discuss when should we buy, when should we sell, what are the current on-chain analytics. That's why I've got dedicated chats on the individual altcoins as well. So feel free to check it out. Feel free to invest some of the gains to make the portfolio grow even faster. There's also a 1-week money back guarantee. So in case you don't like premium, just message me within the first week and I will refund you 100%. You really have 0 risk. And so does it make sense to buy Fartcoin right now? Does it make sense to take out a home equity line of credit out of your farm, set this all into Fartcoin in order to double and triple the capital? Of course, that's not necessarily that smart. But what is very important to note here is that the smart money seems to be accumulating, and it seems like the current rally might be driven mainly by the smart money. It does make sense, in my opinion, to follow the people that are smart. The larger whales tend to make the better calls on average, right? The more one is trading, the less important the luck component in crypto becomes, and the more important the skill component becomes. So over time, capital concentrates towards the people that are smarter, that are more skilled, so the whales tend to make the better calls. Now, very short term, we might be somewhat heated. I believe the best exit opportunity is probably once we do see that announcement by Binance, etc., that Fartcoin gets listed. That's probably going to be the major driver going forward. If you got some value out of this video, feel free to subscribe. I publish videos regularly. A like would be very much appreciated as well. It helps the channel grow. See you in the next video, or see you in premium. Cheers.